It's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead, and I'm here to read a fun story for you. So it's going to be out of this book, Disney's Nursery Rhymes and Fairy Tales. So here's one I don't even remember ever reading about. Disney's Goliath the Second. It's going to be about an elephant. Once upon a time, in a faraway jungle, there lived a tiny elephant. His name was Goliath the Second. He was barely 5 inches tall, about this tall. He was so small he could not even pull up a daisy. "I'll never grow up," said little Goliath softly. "I'll never be a giant elephant like my father." His father, Great Goliath the First, was leader of the elephant herd. He was so huge and powerful that he could uproot, that means pull all the way out from the ground, the biggest trees without even trying. And here's little Goliath trying to pull up a little daisy flower. "It's not fair," Big Goliath grumbled. "Why should I have a little bit of a son who can't even pull up a daisy?" But Goliath's mother, like most mothers, was proud of her little son no matter what. She didn't care one whit about pulling trees from their roots or pulling up daisies. "Don't worry, Goliath," she said. "Brute strength isn't everything. You'll amount to something one day. You just wait and see." That was encouraging. Raising such a tiny son in the dense and savage jungle was a big problem. Mother Goliath's #1 problem was Raja, a crafty old tiger who could hardly take his greedy eyes off little Goliath. "I've always been curious to taste an elephant," said old Raj, "and now at last I've found one that is bite-size." But Goliath's mother wasn't taking any chances. She kept a sharp eye on her little son every minute of the day. And at night, she safely tucked him into bed in an empty bird's nest at the end of a limb high in a tree. Boy, what a good mama she is. Each day, the elephants took a dip in the river, and little Goliath was left on the bank to splash and play in one of his mother's huge footprints. "Now stay where I can see you," she warned. But Goliath was getting tired of being treated like a baby. "I'm nearly 8 years old," he said. "I'm old enough to look out for myself." He didn't want to be treated like a baby. Well, it's true, if you're 8 years old, you're not a baby anymore. One day, when his mother was not looking, Goliath wandered off down the elephant trail. It was a perfect day for running away. The jungle was sunny and warm and really, really quiet. There was only a gentle whisper of the breeze and the sound of footprints, soft, velvety footprints, but they weren't Goliath's footprints. Suddenly, Goliath saw two pale blue eyes peering through the grass. It was Raja. Goliath tried to run, but he tripped on his trunk and fell flat on his face. Raja crouched and then sprang into the air, but he never came down. What? How could you jump in the air and not come down? Something had a hold of old Raja by the tail. it was Goliath's mother, and she was furious. "You old scoundrel," she screamed. She swung him around and around until his head was spinning. Then with all of her strength, she sent the tiger flying high over the treetops, all the way across the river to the far end of the jungle. That was the end of Raja. At least, he was never seen again in that part of the jungle. But that wasn't the end of little Goliath's troubles. For one thing, his mother gave him a good sound spanking with a stout blade of grass. This didn't really hurt Goliath half as much as a scornful look from his father. Goliath had broken one of the first laws of the herd. A runaway elephant is called a rogue and a traitor, and is treated as a criminal. Little Goliath had never felt quite so small in all of his life. As an elephant, he was a failure. One afternoon, as big Goliath led the herd down the elephant trail towards the river, he saw a fuzzy little creature with black beady eyes and a string tail. "Mouse!" cried big Goliath. "It's a mouse! Run for your lives!" The herd went crashing off through the jungle in a wild stampede and leaped right into the river. There they stayed, trembling with terror and only the tips of their trunks sticking out of the water. You see how they went running? And then they jumped into the water. And there's their trunks sticking up so they could breathe. All because of a little mouse. Only little Goliath stood his ground. He didn't move a muscle or even blink an eye. "What's the trouble, Buster?" said the mouse. "Aren't you scared stiff? All elephants are afraid of mice, you know." "Why are they afraid of mice?" asked Goliath. "I'll show you why," said the mouse. In a flash, he seized, that means grabbed, Goliath by the trunk, whirled him in the air, and flung him to the ground. "Do you give up, Jumbo?" asked the mouse. "Never," said Goliath. So the battle began. They rolled over and over and came close to the edge of a steep cliff. Down below, an old crocodile was waiting for someone to drop in for dinner. Anyone at all. The mouse pushed Goliath towards the edge, but Goliath saw the crocodile. Desperately, he grabbed the mouse's tail, and with a sudden jerk, let's see what it looks like. He swung the mouse out over the cliff, right over the wide open jaws of the crocodile. "Please don't let me fall," cried the mouse. "I give up. You win, old pal, okay?" "Okay," said Goliath, and the battle was over. As a reward for his victory, Goliath was given the very highest position in the elephant herd, a place of honor on his proud father's head. Happiest of all was Goliath's mother. "I always knew you'd amount to something one day," she said proudly. And he did. he stood up to something that scared the elephant herd the most. And that's like us. We might not be the biggest or the strongest, but we can be brave. One thing, we can be brave because we know God's with us. And if he's with us, we really don't have to worry about things. He gives us common sense, a brain to think so that we don't do things that could get us hurt or put us in danger. He gives us parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles to love and watch over us. And he's helping us grow up and learn more and more. That's always good. He's so good to us and so kind. And that's because he loves us. All right, I love you too. And I want to pray blessings on you and yours, in your house, out of your house, in the day and the night. Whatever you do, keep dreaming. I'll be reading again to you soon. Bye-bye.